cell that's going to be pushing off to the east. And if you remember a couple nights ago, we were talking about these storms and how they were crawling 20, 25 miles an hour. These storms are moving a little bit faster than that. These probably have a little bit more motion with them, at least 35, maybe at times over 40 mile per hour. So a little different. You're not going to have as much time to kind of get into your tornado safe spot as some of those tornado warnings and large hail, severe thunderstorm warnings we had the other night, where you could kind of just sit and watch those storms slowly inch your direction. So let's zoom out and I'll show you kind of what we're watching is these three supercells are just lining up side by side. Two of them currently tornado warned, one of them just a severe thunderstorm warning, but the direction it's headed, it's going to be heading into a better tornado environment, so wouldn't be surprised. And it's starting to get that shape a little bit. This is going to be a little bit moving out of Searcy County into southern Searcy County as this continues to move off to the east there as it heads closer to Stone County. So Stone County, if this passes you, you're still going to need to watch that storm behind you for storm number 2 kind of starting to come in. So any other activity not really close to being severe, but could be. We're still watching some of these cells back down near I-40, but so far tonight, the main focus has been northern Arkansas, just because storms have struggled to form in other spots. We've had to wait all night for the better forcing to force these storms up, which is why I think the rest of tonight, the better threat for severe weather, including tornadoes, will stay across northeastern Arkansas. I just don't know if everything's going to come together for tornadoes across other parts of the state. Doesn't mean we're not going to be here watching. It just means that so far the better environment has been. So far, though, we've really missed out on any hail forming. As you look back off to the west and southwest, maybe a little bit of activity there in southern Polk County. We'll have to watch here over the next couple of hours, but you can just see how much more active it is as you head up to the north, especially Stone County. We've been watching this one. Me and Barry have been watching this one for about 30 minutes. Even AI had hinted at this being the storm that would probably go tornado warned next. It was pretty close with that other storm getting a little bit of a tornado warning just before it. But any area near Timbo, just to the south, here's Highway 9, the very curvy Highway 9, headed to Mountain View. So Mountain View, this is going to be probably pretty close to you, probably about 15, 20 minutes at least, if not a little bit longer, just depending on the speed of these as these continue to push off to the east. So Turkey Creek, most of this may be just to your north, but anybody in central portions of Stone County really need to keep an eye on it. Barry, you can jump in whenever you're ready over there.
Yeah, we're ready. I just want to give folks, it's a good call on those moving off the east. A very rugged area there, very forested area of our state. Here's the tornado watch area. It goes from Little Rock northward. I really think that these north central counties are probably going to have the greatest threat over the next few hours. And so let's go to where the storms are forming right now, and it's the north central part of the state. We have two tornado warned areas, and that's up just out of the KATV viewing area, and that's on up in the south of Cherokee Village near Ash Flat, and that is moving off to the east. And then we have the one that will be moving across the southern part of Stone County. So let's take a look at this just a little bit closer. And this is what it looks like on reflectivity, which is just rain. But then we also want to look inside and look at the wind field inside of this storm. It's a fairly broad rotation, but it's a long way away from the radar site. And so Timbo area and moving almost due east. So it'll be in the Mountain View area before long. It's moving at about 45 miles per hour. And I will see if I can, yeah, it's really, there we go. And we can see that the storm has wind inside of it. And folks, this is why the National Weather Service issued this. You can see the winds going away from the radar site along Highway 263 there, and winds coming toward in a very small area. Boy, this is just rugged terrain there. So if you're in this area, you've got to trust us. You've got to get into that lowest floor of your home, most interior part away from exterior walls and windows, because it's dark outside. It's raining out there. There's hills and trees, very difficult to see any rotation that could lead to a tornado actually being on the ground. So let's just get into that safe spot. There's a lot of wind in any event, but it looks like there is a rotation center there. And this will be moving over toward Mountain View and Highway 9 eventually. And I'm going to put this into motion just over the last few. You can see the movement of it right there is why they issued the tornado warning, a little bit of a curvature of the rotation. And still a lot of wind along with that, even at a long way away from the radar site. We're talking about more than a mile up in the atmosphere as this moves over toward the Mountain View area. This is all part of just several storms. I'll go back to radar here, and you'll see that these storms are moving at a pretty rapid clip, and they're almost moving due east, as I said. There's not much happening down to the south of that, but we will watch the storm that is over to the west there. And we're talking about Highway 16 and 27. That's in where Searcy County and Van Buren County kind of come together. We're going to watch that storm. There is some broad rotation there. There's a little bit of hail along with that one as well, but it is not tornado warned right now. We'll just let you know that we are watching, though, that area. And then the tornado warned storm is in Stone County. All of this well up to the north of the Little Rock area as it moves on off to the east. Again, you've got to look at the wind field inside of it, really. And Zach, it looks like this may be the best signature that we've seen. There's not a lot of inflow in, but there's a lot of outflow out in advance of it, going away from the radar site. And I think there could be something to this.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit stronger there. I drew some arrival times for you. This is get to West Richwoods about 10:31. Mountain View 10:40 would probably be the next heavily populated area this moves through. But anybody between back towards western Stone County and Mountain View, this is going to be moving your way. And as you were saying that, it almost looked like these storms were kind of merging together. The one, not the severe one behind it, but if we kind of clear everything and look back towards the west, it just continued to look like you have that one area of rotation ahead of it, and then almost back near flag area, just a little bit of tiny rotation. And you go to reflectivity, you can kind of see over the past few minutes what this has looked like, the kind of journey this storm's been on. It's a little cell back here near Leslie, kind of cottoned up, and so it's instead of two storms, it's almost one cell now. So we'll see what impact that has on this storm as it gets closer through Stone County. This is going to stay mainly north of Turkey Creek, but Mountain View, not in a good place right now. Mountain View, anybody there, even up towards Silmore, need to be in your tornado safe spot. Lowest room, away from windows, hallway, closet, bathroom. If it has windows, it's not a good place to be. Basement would be best, or storm shelter, but we'll see if this storm kind of weakens as that little cell catches up behind it, or maybe if that gives it a push and allows it to spin up a little bit better. And velocity, like you said, Barry, it's been looking a little bit better over the past few minutes compared to what it looked like earlier when that tornado warning was first issued.
Zach, I've got a new, we're going to take a look at our storm scan computer, and this latest analysis right there is a little more concerning. So you folks, Mountain View and points to the west, southeast of Timbo, all moving off to the east-northeast at about 45 miles an hour. Let's just go ahead and get in that safe spot. If you're anywhere along the highways out to the west of town, and that would be south of Highway 66, and it would be west of Highway 9. In this area, please get into that safe spot in your house. I think this is the part of the state that has the most potential for tornado development. I don't think it's going to last all night. I think there is a window of opportunity here, though, and we're seeing that. But that is a strong symbol of, in a small area, winds going away from and toward the radar site. You never want to see that. Small community of Hanover all the way up to Mountain View. Let's get in the lowest part of your house, the most interior part of your house, away from exterior walls and windows. Not quite there yet, but it won't be long. And there's another scan. The Weather Service, I think, scanning this probably a little more frequently. That doesn't, they're not making the radar beam go all the way around. I think they're scanning a sector here because of the severity of this. And it really does look like to me that, again, it's about a mile up in the atmosphere, but that's plenty low enough to get a low-level representation of the wind that is happening. And I just don't love the look of that right now.
No, it's getting stronger.
Yeah, it's getting stronger as it goes. So you folks in the Mountain View area, please get into that lowest floor of your home, most interior part of your home as this moves up. We don't want to get too hyper-focused on this, although this is our focus right now. It's the strongest one. But the other storms, yeah, the one south of Witt Spring and Smyrna, it doesn't look as strong. This is the one, and it's approaching that Highway 9 corridor on the southwest side of Mountain View. there's just a lot of wind energy right there. And I'll get an idea. I'll let you know how it's going away from the radar site. Even at this level, I think it's, well, there's a big difference between the outbound winds and the inbound winds there, and they're very bright. So at the meeting point of those two is where you would see if there is a tornado. We're just going to assume there is, even if there's not, right? That's where it would be. The rotation's it's not a mystery where the rotation would be if it's there. So it continues to move off to the east. Let's go in if we can. I'm going to go into our other computer number 2, and I'll show you just some of the places: East Richwoods, West Richwoods, little communities along Highway 9 there, coming southwest out of Mountain View. You've got to be at that safe spot. If you're along the Highway 66 corridor and southward of that, you've got to be in that safe spot. Now, there's not a tornado that's miles wide, but within that area is where you would see the tornado, and if there is one, and again, we're going to assume for now that there is, even if there's not, we're going to assume, get into that safe spot in your house. Continues to look pretty strong, and if anything, Zach, I think it may look a little stronger than it did, at least as strong as it was.
It's about 6 miles from Mountain View and closing maybe 5 miles at this point. This storm not moving abnormally fast, but not crawling either. This is going to be moving into town anywhere between Highway 66, Highway 9. That's where your tornado threat's going to be highest. Mountain View, this is going to pass very close to you. You've got just a few minutes to get ready for this rotation to pass over. Can't say there's a tornado with it, but indications continue to look pretty strong so far. This might be one of the best looking storms we've seen on radar so far this evening. And Mountain View, anywhere north, south, west, east, if you're within a few miles of Mountain View, you got to be in your tornado safe spot and ready for this to move over. Not a ton of hail with that. We thought maybe some hail would pop up with this cell, but so far it looks more like just the tornado threat, probably a wind threat with it. If it's, whether the tornado or whether the winds are spinning around or they're going straight in a straight line. This is going to be bringing some high wind and a lot of rain into the Mountain View area. And there's a little bit of a hail core now trying to show up there, trying to pass over Highway 9 around the Mountain View area, but it just continues to look like the wind is the biggest issue with this. And that's starting to mix. Barry, right in here, you have some pretty strong winds from coming out of the storm, and then your inflow is going to be right in here. So anywhere from west Richwoods to east Richwoods, anywhere on south of Mountain View on Highway 9, this is going to be very, very close to you. Looks like we've got the country pet playground, dog boarding, and daycare. That's going to be very close to where this area is on Hub Willis Road. That entire corridor, you've got Fiddler's Green, it's a little store there at the intersection. That's going to be where this potential tornado is going to be moving very close to, and anywhere on that Highway 9 corridor, very curvy road, can't drive it very fast, but this is kind of where that threat's going to stay the highest, and this is going to be tracking very close to Mountain View itself, if not on the south side of this. And we know Stone County has a history with some pretty impressive tornadoes. Not saying that's going to happen again, but this is part of the viewing area that we know these storms can get really, really strong. Hopefully it's just rotation. Hopefully nothing's on the ground, but every scan seems to be a little more impressive than the last. There along Highway 9, moving into the Mountain View area. And this tornado warning goes for another 30 minutes. It's got plenty of ground to cover there east of Mountain View along Highway 5. So anybody within 5 to 7 miles of Mountain View, especially to the south, especially to the east, needs to be in their tornado safe spot, as this rotation now really going to be right over Highway 9 here in the next few scans.
Okay, let's take a look, if we can, at our storm scan computer, and we have the iDrive Arkansas map, Highway 5, out just to the southeast of Mountain View. Now, this is not looking back toward the storm, but look how it's being, the lightning is lighting up this scene just almost constantly now. So very frequent lightning along with this as well. And I do want to go back and just show you now that the rotation is really, really pronounced. We've been talking about it. It's right on top of the Highway 9 corridor right now. Those small communities, Richwoods communities there. That's where we're really talking. And it may be a little broader than it was. There may be wind kind of bowing out, moving toward Hanover. That's no good either. I will tell you, that is no good. But there is wind coming back toward the Little Rock radar site as well. And so those rotating there and crossing Highway 9 is really where we're going to be very hyper-focused on. That is where the rotation would be. Mountain View, though, you need to be in a safe spot as well as this storm passes, maybe just to the south of you, but let's just say you're in the tornado polygon. Let's just go ahead and get into that safe spot, especially if you're from downtown, just on the south side of the highway there as it moves on through. Let's go back. I'm going to just take you back a few frames here, and we're going to show you as it's progressed how the reds and the greens really have started to come together there. You know, as I said, the best case, this isn't producing a tornado, but even if it's not, it's producing wind, and Hanover is going to be in the path of that. And it looks like a big batch of wind is kind of pushing out toward Hanover as well. So this is going to be a windy storm, but this is a potential tornado producer as well.
Yeah, I just don't, the environment tonight that we've been waiting on versus what we're seeing now, I think this at some point is going to produce some type of tornado. I don't know how big, I don't know how long it's going to be on the ground, but in this part, I worked at KIT up in Northeast Arkansas for several years, and anytime we saw signatures like this there in Stone and Izard County, you know, something happened. So need to be in your tornado safe spot. Mountain View, this is going to pass very close to you to the south, too close for you to get out and try to look at. It's dark. You've got hills, trees. You're not going to be able to see this, but these colors just keep getting more and more impressive. We are far from the radar, but that just makes it more impressive. If it was something too weak for radar to detect, we wouldn't be getting these bright colors. But the brighter colors we get indicate this storm's getting stronger. It's going to be able to produce more straight line wind damage, even if there's not a tornado. But just the type of environment we have across northern Arkansas tonight, very concerned now with more scans. There's a new scan there. But still, I mean, I just don't like how things are mixing there. Now past Highway 9, so this is already passed, and this is going to be south central, if not now eastern Stone County. Probably the worst of the rotation is going to stay south of Highway 5, but the difference here is just a couple miles. You need to be, and you can still get some pretty strong winds on the border. If there was a tornado right here, you're still going to get strong winds, even if you're not right where the tornado is. So anybody along Highway 5, Mountain View southward, Hanover, need to be in your tornado safe spots. You don't have much more time to prepare for this, especially near the Hanover area. That's where this is going to pass next, but still going to get some pretty high winds and a ton of lightning there across the Mountain View area, even though this looks like it's starting to dig south of Mountain View, just too close for you to get out of your tornado safe spots just yet. And again, this is the one storm we've been watching, zooming out a little bit. Severe thunderstorm warning still back to the west, but does not have the same type of look, doesn't have the same type of rotation that the storm we're watching right now. And even that storm that was in Sharp County is now lifted up past Cherokee Village. And the rotation with that one, maybe not even as impressive as what we're seeing there in Stone County. You know, I wish we had more daylight to be able to see this storm. Wish we had more cameras to see this storm. But really, we're using the tools we have best, and this is just not something you really want to see in this part of Arkansas.
I've got a couple of more roads pulled up, but first I'm going to talk about a rotation product that we have, an algorithm that just shows where it's been a very pronounced view of right where the colors have come together. And there it is right there. The center of rotation, given what's happening on the radar, this is just an algorithm that shows where the rotation should be, coming right up on Hanover. And it has been moving very steadily, but has gotten stronger. You can see over the last few scans there. So let's go over to computer number 2 if we can. I've got some roads then that we're going to be looking at, and just some small roads there. Star Gap Road, there's Luber Road that moves on down. This is south of Mountain View. Hanover Road going down to the small community of Hanover. Bonnie Risner Road, you're right where the rotation is. Jimmy Mitchell Road, Green Loop, and South Bayou Drive is on up just to the northeast. These are just some of the names.
National Weather Service says they got a report of a tornado near Highway 9 and Sunny Fox Road, which would
Okay.
be kind of where that rotation is. So, sorry to interrupt you, but
No, no,
just saw that information.
That's good.
there.
That's what we
And that's the area we've been talking about, is right those two roads right there.
Yeah, that's the bad part of it, but that gives us ground confirmation of what we're seeing. And so if you haven't been taking us seriously, and we hope you have, and you probably have, it's time to get into the safe spot. That point, Hanover, the small community of Hanover, and points off to the east into the eastern part of Stone County, because it looks like it's not getting any weaker. And just looking at the radar presentation with this, there's just a lot of junk on it, and you wouldn't see it except there's a little notch right there. We're a long way from the radar site, but when you can look at the wind field inside of it, that's really where you get a much better idea of what's going on. And there's a big rotation center there. It's pulling raindrops around the backside of this, and it's pulling wind, the wind's going away from and being wrapped into a circulation center. And again, that's where we've now had a report of a tornado along Highway 9. It's to the east of Highway 9 as it moves off to the east. One thing that I've noticed here, so it is a confirmed tornado. It's the tornado warning now is drawn in purple. But one thing I've noticed, Zach, is this was moving east. I think it's moving east-southeast, which is something we look for, moving off to the right of the path that it's been going, and that's a more indicative of a tornado.
Yeah, I agree. This continues to look, and right there, I've been trying to see if that's something or nothing. I think it's something. This is kind of showing up right where that rotation is, and it's not blue. We're far from the radar site, so we're not going to get a great debris detection on this, but that tells me if I switch over here to winds, that's going to be right, I mean, dead on, right where that rotation is. So the polygons change colors, velocity looks nasty, and we've got a little bit of debris showing up on a radar. So I believe there was or is a tornado on the ground. That scan may be a little bit better, but not much, as it continues to now pass Hanover Road and continue east. So still staying south of Highway 5, but at some point, I think it curves back down to Highway 5, goes a little bit more to the south again. But anywhere south of Highway 5, east of Highway 9, there's likely still some very tremendous wind gusts and probably a tornado still on the ground.
Heading over toward Highway 14.
It's turned blue now on the debris detection
that is debris.
now. Yeah, that's
definitely so. Yeah, and I'll show you just what he was talking about there. So when we said that there was rotation and it looked like there should be rotation, and it was likely producing a tornado, it was producing a tornado because that is debris being lofted up into the air. And it will be crossing Luber Road. And in fact, just because there's a little bit of processing time, that it's already on Luber Road or even just barely east of there. So you folks in that area, just please get to that safest point of your house, wherever you live, get in the middle of the, away from exterior walls and windows and as low down as you can get, and get even cushions over your head, maybe in your bathtub, something like that, just to protect yourself from flying debris, because there is debris, and we know that that is the case there. So I'm going to go back in just with where the debris is, and again tell you there's Meisenheimer Road and Jimmy Mitchell Road off to the east, Highway 5 running just beyond that. So this will eventually, as it moves through some of the neighborhoods here, some of the roads here, it will cross Highway 5 eventually coming up. The other thing that we look at is the rotation inside of it, and yeah, it still shows up very, very well. The debris, though, really tells us so much, along with the wind field inside there. So this thing is still rotating, and it's a fairly broad area. And I would say there's rotation within it. It could even be a larger tornado.
Yeah.
I won't say it's a major tornado, and we don't know until it's after the fact. But folks, I just want to underscore that this is doing damage right now, and you've got to get into a safe spot. Again, Highway 5 will be coming up a little bit later. Dog Young Road, Meisenheimer Road. You're right in the path of this, and there are some little streets off of there, folks living out to the southeast of Mountain Home right now. I'll go back to the radar and just zoom out a little bit because, again, we get very hyper-focused on where we are, but this is moving across the southern half of Stone County. That little notch right in there is where it is, and it will continue to move off to the east and eventually cross Highway 5, eventually be moving off toward Independence County and the Cushman area, and hopefully this thing falls apart before then. But it hasn't fallen apart, and again, there is debris that has been lofted up along the Louver Road just north of the Hanover community right there, West Richwoods neighborhood down to the south.
That debris ball does not seem to be weakening. I don't think this was a quick tornado on the ground pulled back up. This, anytime it stays on the ground, it means it stays that color. If it was getting lighter, I think that'd be better news, but I still think there's something on the ground right now based on winds, based on what we're seeing. If I loop it over the past, 30 minutes, really the past 5 to 10 minutes, that just appears, gets blue and stays blue. Maybe a little bit less blue there, but I would still be very confident that there's probably a tornado still on the ground with this rotation just north of Hanover, still south of Mountain View. So if you're watching us in Mountain View, the threat's passing you, but stay in your tornado safe space a little bit longer just until this starts to get to Highway 5. And here's Highway 5. This is Highway 14, I believe, as you head back off to the east into Izard and Independence County, Sharp County. Here's 5. That goes southeast. This is going to cross Highway 5 south of Highway 14 where they split. So here's the interchange. Down Highway 5 is going to be the next major highway with a reference point for damage. But right along, this is going to be moving right along this road here as it heads off to the east, kind of following almost exactly until you get to Highway 5. And that rotation still, it just, every scan, it just stays strong. It's really not getting weaker at any point. Just a lot of mixing going on right here. This far from the radar, this bright, the debris being detected, there's a tornado with this storm.
All right, we continue to watch that storm, and really it's the only storm that is warned within our KATV viewing area. If we can go to our other source, I will show you that that's the storm right there in Stone County. Other storms up in far northeastern Arkansas that are tornado warned. And the storm that now is between Van Buren and Searcy County, not even warned anymore. The storm, yes, gusty winds, yes, but it doesn't even have a severe thunderstorm warning along it. So there is one storm that we're watching very, very carefully. And I want to talk a little bit more about this storm. First, I'm going to show you the reflectivity. There's that little notch right there that you can see. Doesn't show us a whole lot, but the velocities inside this, very, very pronounced away from and toward the radar site. And where those two meet, it continues to look just really scary. The rotation aspect of it, still, this is, again, an algorithm that takes all that stuff and just boils it down into where is it rotating, and pretty strong rotation indicated right there. And that's south of Mountain View, by the way, and moving east. And then the debris signature there, it remains pretty impressive. So I think this thing is continuing to loft debris up into the atmosphere, just whatever it hits. It has a suction effect and pulls it up into the atmosphere, and things that don't look like raindrops or hailstones up in the atmosphere, they look different. That's tree limbs and just stuff that the tornado on the ground pulls up into the atmosphere. There's Highway 5. It will be moving over towards St. James, and then eventually on over toward Independence County. Again, we hope that this thing begins to somehow run into some more resistance, maybe joins up with another storm of some sort and begins to weaken very quickly, but that has not happened yet. And if we back off, it looks like this storm is a little bit out by itself. And that's not a good thing. It's getting plenty of warm, moist air pumped into it, and that's just really what we don't want to see. But as this storm entered into that area, the National Weather Service and our models all day had said, yeah, this is where the atmosphere gets kind of ripe for tornado development, and lo and behold, finally a storm got that far east and got tall enough that it took a long time, but it really started to blow up quite a bit.
New tornado warning is going to be coming downstream of that one.
Okay, so they're going to extend this confirmed
which would put it into
tornado
Independence
warning.
County.
Where's that?
That would continue it into Independence County.
Independence County, yeah, that's what we'd saying. So Cushman, Bethesda, and Batesville, that's where it'll be going, and that would be, so Stone County, Izard County will probably, the southernmost part of Izard County will probably be in that as well. Although there's a much narrow, the tornado isn't as wide as the polygon, but it's much narrower. And sometimes they take little turns. And this one, I think, really has been, if we just go back a few frames, it's been moving east-southeast, maybe due east. But over the course of its life, I think it has taken a little bit of a right turn. And those storms we call right movers, and they tend to be the ones that then can tap into better moisture in the atmosphere. I say better. It's what you don't want to see. And so that's obviously a tornado on the ground. Zach?
Yeah, this is going to continue to move over to Independence County. And if you're watching this back to the west, I don't think this is anything. It's a little bit of bright, almost looks like what we call radar contamination. So if you're watching this, you see more bright colors and you just had a close call or maybe some damage. I don't think that's anything to be concerned about. That main tornado is going to be back here. Would that be close enough for a satellite? If this is a significant tornado, Barry, I can't tell if that would be enough rotation there in the backs. I think it's just side load.
I think it's just wind coming out of the backside of that storm. Yeah.
Here's what the rest of the state looks like. So we've been talking about north central Arkansas a lot. There's a reason we're focused on that one storm. We've got some shower activity down in far south Arkansas, but that's about it. We don't have anything else. This broken line of supercells not really continuing down towards the Russellville area. There is a little bit of a shower, maybe a thunder shower there near Russellville, but there's nothing else we're concerned with at the moment other than this storm and these kind of several lines of storms all the way through northeastern Arkansas. So that's where we kind of see that best chance. And we've just been watching all this come together, and it just looks like something that's going to be able to sustain itself and keep going in Independence County. There's that new tornado warning just issued. This is going to be all the way just outside of Batesville. So that's close enough to where maybe some phones are going off in Batesville for the tornado warning. You've got time, but just be getting everything ready. Get the kids awake if they were already asleep. Get the pets together. Batesville area, Highway 106. You need to be ready to jump in your tornado safe spot. Anybody in Stone County, if your phones have gone off for a tornado warning, you need to be in your tornado safe spot now. You don't need to be preparing. You need to be in that safe place now before that storm really starts to get closer to you. And then this new warning is going to go well after 11 o'clock. So we're at 10:45. That old warning ends at about, I think it was right at 11 on the dot. So this next warning is probably going to go till at least 10:30. And it's slowing down. It's now moving about 30 miles per hour, maybe 25. So it hasn't been picking up speed like some of the other storms. So there's going to be some time there for Independence County, but not much. You got to be collecting everything together. If you have bicycle helmets, football, softball helmets, get those ready. Get shoes on in case there is damage. You don't want to be walking around if there's broken glass or wood or nails everywhere. And it doesn't take much to protect your head. Just get a bicycle helmet. When I do school visit, that's what we're always talking about. Most people are already prepared, and they may not even know it for flying debris. And just be ready anywhere near the Batesville area. Even if you're not in that tornado warning just yet, you got to start getting everything ready to get into that safe spot. Western Independence County, storm's close enough that where you need to be getting into your safe spot over the next few minutes. The National Weather Service says they believe this is a significant tornado based on the debris field, based on the velocity, the winds coming together. They believe that this is a significant tornado, which usually means strong. It's a strong tornado that's moving through, and that means they can be on the ground a long time. This isn't a night, and the storm's not in an environment where it's just going to skip on the ground. It's probably going to stay on the ground, and that means it can, with nothing in front of it. There's a little bit of rain. Hopefully this cools the atmosphere just enough to end that rotation. But right now it looks like it's still pretty strong and strong enough to stay on the ground unless something trips it up. And still just looks like, it still looks very impressive there on velocity. maybe gusting out a little bit. The debris is not as pronounced as it was. The wind kind of looked like maybe that RFD is cutting off. The cooler air from the thunderstorm itself is cutting off that circulation. The debris is not as dark blue as it was, but still, I would not trust this storm. Even there, on just looking at how much rain's falling, you can kind of tell that maybe this is going to start to cut this off a little bit. Not right now. I still think there's probably a tornado going, but if these green winds can wrap all the way around, it kind of starts to cut off that inflow and maybe weakens the storm enough to where there's not an immediate, or at least a clear signal that there's a tornado on the ground. But anywhere from Highway 14 to Highway 5, you got to be in your safe spot now. You're running out of time, similar to areas back off to the west that past Highway 9 that we're starting to see that storm get closer to them. And again, this is the only storm we're watching across our viewing area, across much of the state. All the activities in north central or northeastern Arkansas where the tornado environment looks the best and where storms have been able to get going. Barry, you have any updates?
Yeah, I think you're right on this, and I've looked at the debris, which was really pronounced at one point. This is just a little bit ago near Hanover, and there was a report from ham radio of a tornado on the ground in the Hanover community. Now let's go just a few scans forward of that, and just look over my right shoulder there. I'm going to just scan through, and the debris. We're actually on the other. If we can go on the other source. Yeah, there we go. I'll go back to where we were, and you can see very bright blues there, that hole with greens and blues, and now not as much. Still a debris signature there. And I think there still is a tornado most likely with this as it crosses Highway 5 and then moves over toward Highway 14. Certainly enough to have a tornado warning still. Please don't let your guard down. And we're going to continue to watch this, but I think this is a storm that is going to stick around for a while, and we just hope there's always an end to a tornado, right? Hopefully the end of this one comes very, very quickly because it's already done damage of some sort, whether it was tree damage or whether it was damage to homes. And it was significant and may yet be significant as it moves over. But at some point, I think that we're going to, it will eventually move to something that doesn't have quite as good a rotation along with it. There's the storm as it has moved, and just that little notch right there is where the rotation was. Again, just looking at the rainfall, that was what we had to do in the early days of radar, and I will tell you that you can't see nearly as well as you can see with looking at Doppler image of the rate at which rain is moving away from and toward the radar site. I don't see the inflow quite as pronounced as it was. The flow, the flow toward the radar site, there is inflow into a circulation center, and this is a tornado warned storm. I want you to all just stay in your tornado safe spot. It's not going to be there very long. You're not going to be inconvenienced forever, but get into the lowest part of your house away from exterior walls and windows as it moves along. But hopefully we're seeing maybe just a little bit of weakening, and this is not wishful thinking. I'm not gonna soft sell it because I still think it's highly possible there is some sort of a tornado there. I just don't know that it's quite as strong as it was. We've got the view from Mountain View, Highway 5 camera there, and I'm going to see if we can see anything. Looks like it's really having trouble. I'm just looking at it off camera here. It looks like it's having trouble even loading there. So there may be power outages in that area. So we'll go back. Still,
I got it to pull up for me if oh, it went back down again. I had it for about a minute or two, and there was just a ton of lightning. It's kind of pointed down at a bridge, so you could just see a little bit of the skyline. I didn't see any power flashes or anything. That's our only camera in the area. So
the debris signature just isn't quite what it was.
No, it does look like it's tripped up a little bit, well, which is good news because the storm was kind of on its own and had a kind of clear path. I think some of this rain is now cutting off the inflow. And you kind of see that last scan when I was talking over it, kind of looked like maybe this would start to weaken a little bit. And the debris signature itself, not quite what it was either. still kind of the north. This would just be, that looks concerning, but let's just clear air right through here. Notice there's no pixels there. And really the rotation's now back. It's almost like this is now curving north, which is usually the end of a tornado. When it starts to move north into the storm, that's usually a sign that everything's including, and your cool air, your warm air aren't spinning anymore. The cool air starting to take over, and we're usually at the end of the life. That rotation's still strong enough that there could be something, but I think we're on a better trend than we were. You can still see clearly any debris that was up in the atmosphere. It's not blue anymore, but that's still clearly debris that's still in the air that radar is detecting. Doesn't mean the tornado is still on the ground, but velocity is still strong enough to where I think, you know, it's weakening. It may be about to pull back up, but I still would expect probably a weak tornado just south of Highway 5, or actually right on Highway 5 there as it continues to
small community of St. James right out there in front of it.
Yeah, St. James, that area. Here's St. James right here. So all these roads to the southwest, Helms Road, Highway 5 is this black line right through here. So really it's already past Highway 5. It's now north of Highway 5 as it starts to kind of get pushed back into the storm itself. But they're between Highway 5 and Highway 14. Do we have that RDOT camera?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and you can see it's really still lighting up the sky.
I can see that tower in the background still has light, but just a ton of lightning, and looks like we may have lost it again.
There was a lot more hail too with this storm on the north side of where the rotation was a little bit earlier. Usually you have that a hail core that's up to the north of where perhaps the tornado itself was. And if we look at the last few scans there, even the tornado or the hail size has gone down pretty considerably. So this storm is probably not as tall as it was. It may be in the process of collapsing somewhat. Still, it is a tornado-warned storm, and I don't want you to let's not get this far and then because we weren't in our safe spot, somebody gets hurt. Let's go ahead and just assume this is still producing a tornado as it moves into that southeastern part of Stone County. And we'll go in a little bit more. This is just a nasty-looking storm still. Here is the rotation, just kind of harder to pick out.
Yeah.
Now, it's still there for sure as it crosses over toward Highway 14. So in between Highway 5 and Highway 14 is where it is right now. But it'll cross. It'll be moving at that point where Izard and Stone County and Independence County all come together. It'll be very close to there, maybe just south of there, and that's why there's the tornado warning has been extended over into Independence County. National Weather Service guys are going to be looking at this, and the folks over there do a great job, and they're going to make the determination whether they're going to keep that. We're going to stay on it, though, until we see no signs of debris and no signs of rotation along with that storm. But it has been one that just all of a sudden came into a very rich environment for tornadoes, a lot of shear in the atmosphere, and this is the one that did produce a tornado. We know that because there was debris around that storm.
Yeah, and the National Weather Service is saying exactly what we were saying. This is the old circulation. If there's anything still with it, that's getting pushed back into the rain-cooled air, and a new area of rotation could develop back down here. So you're kind of seeing tornado genesis end, but then maybe redevelop. We call this cycling. Sometimes it can take 5, 6, 7 minutes for that to happen. Sometimes it can take longer. We would be watching this area for a new tornado, or at least a new area of concern. Doesn't look like it's quite there yet, but you can kind of see that inflow or the outflow out of the storm kind of moving in, the inflow getting ready to kind of fight its way back to start the spinning again right through here. Whereas here's the old circulation, kind of the end of the tornado's life. It starts to get pushed back up into the storm, and a lot of strong tornado tracks, you'll see just a random turn north back into the storm at the end of its life. I think that's what we just saw with this. And then something new would now develop back down to the southwest of the old circulation. So I expect this tornado warning to continue. I don't think they're going to cancel the tornado warning on something like this that already has the history of producing tornadoes, producing a ton of debris that can be detected. What would the radar be hitting there, Barry? 5,000 to 6,000 feet?
I'll tell you, it is at, yeah, 50, yeah, about 6,000 feet.
So that means the debris was lofted 6,000 feet in the air. The lowest we can see in some of these storms, the lowest layer of radar data is about 5,000 to 6,000 feet. So that means the debris had to get that high up into the storm, into the air for us to detect it. So that's substantial. Usually that's a sign of a stronger tornado, EF2 or stronger. A lot of research has been done on that to show that the higher the debris is lofted, the more we can kind of calculate just what range of tornado we're talking. But right now it looks like that old circulation, I'd say this is about done if it's not done already. But right here, if anything else is going to be able to get going, if you turn on reflectivity, you'll see it a little bit better. See the old one getting pulled up into the storm, and then now this will be the new circulation right through here, right over Highway 5 to the east of Highway 5, getting closer to Highway 14. I think it's still cycling. I don't think we have anything there at the moment.
Yeah, but if you're in Independence County, that's why there's still a tornado warning there. Hey, while you're talking, I'm going to let you talk, but while I'm looking at the power outages, well, there are 434 in Stone County that are without power. Just a fraction, 5% of the 9,000 customers in that part of the state. So, but there are power outages that we saw, Zach.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sign that we have pretty much what we saw in tornado. Here's what's left of that debris. I don't think it's showed up very well, but this is still debris that's in the air that radar can detect. And so this is going to be spreading debris out through into Independence County. So you may start to hear some debris if you live in far western Independence County. Is this kind of cloud of just items the tornado is able to get a hold of stays in the air. This is going to be heading your direction, and we'll have to be watching for more redevelopment, and we will probably be on air a little bit longer with this cell. Batesville, we talked about. Is this still moving 25 miles an hour?
Yeah, I'll check real quickly, but yeah, it certainly has slowed down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it looks like it's still moving east-southeast. So we'll do about
25 miles per hour.
25?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Batesville, that's going to bring it into you at about 11:38, if not, looks like let me try that again. Looks like it jumped into a different county there. But what's left of that circulation, if we keep going at about 25 miles an hour into Independence County.
As you're looking at that there, we'll leave that up on the screen. Rotation has weakened over the last couple of scans. If that trend continues, says the Weather Service, they may drop it back just to a normal tornado warning, not a confirmed tornado warning.
So tornado warning is going to continue, and I believe this goes until 11:30. That's about Batesville, pretty close, if not a little bit later than 11:30, when that rotation would get in your general area. Bethesda 11:17, Limedale 11:27, as this cell continues to march east into Independence County. I don't think we're going to be able to just be done with this storm. I think we'll still have to watch it for redevelopment, especially if it can stay uninterrupted. Right now, there's nothing to the south here that would bring rain-cooled air into this storm. So it may be looking a little bit weaker than it did earlier, but there's still a lot of clear, warm, humid air that if this fights its way back in, and kind of see it right in here, the inflow trying to rebuild, that's going to start to wrap up again, and that's going to bring it into Independence County and very close to the Batesville area over the next 30 to 40 minutes. And again, I believe this is our only severe warned storm in our area, only tornado warned storms in our area. So if you're back in western Arkansas, I believe you were under the tornado watch for a bit. I just don't know if we're going to see anything fill in back here. I think it would just be kind of Russellville northeastward if anything is going to be able to get going. And this will drift closer to Conway. Nothing severe looks imminent for Conway anytime soon, or Faulkner County. But this is going to be slowly moving east-southeast over the next few hours. So north of Little Rock is probably going to be the area we're watching for any redevelopment and any more severe weather. Right now, the best look for any more tornadoes, hail, severe thunderstorm winds would be moving into Independence County, and that's it for our area right now. And even these storms back up into northeast Arkansas, they're starting to line up. That would transition our threat more to a wind threat, but this one's still kind of back there on its own. There it goes back to red. So they've ended the confirmed tornado, and now it's just back down to those normal tornado radar indicated tornado warnings as it moves into Independence County. So for the rest of central Arkansas, southern Arkansas, radar is going to have to change a lot for there to be much of a storm threat for you. Everything that was in Texas and Oklahoma has died off. Just some shower activity there, which is hard to see. But all this should keep things a little more stable. I don't see this becoming severe or redeveloping severe thunderstorm warnings. Cold front doesn't move in until late tomorrow, which is why we still expect another round of storms with some severe weather on our Tuesday as well. It's really right now this line, and I don't know if that's going to change much over the next few hours unless this really starts to fill in or this storm north of Clinton starts to get stronger. Right now, I think it's this Independence, Eastern Stone Independence cell that has the best severe threat over the next hour or two.
And over the next hour or two, I think what I hear you saying is we're looking at that area probably to the north of Searcy, Heber Springs, Searcy, and north, and especially eastward as the evening progresses. I think that's going to be the area that's going to have the greatest threat. Because after that, I think all of this is going to kind of lay over on its side, and you're going to get storms moving kind of over that same area, even if it may or may not even the tail end of it may make it down to the Little Rock area. But I think our severe threat gradually goes away, and we're at the 11 o'clock hour now. I think after midnight, I think it diminishes, and then after that, I really think it will start to lessen somewhat because these are going to eventually coalesce, I think, into into one line. The storm that's in northern part of Van Buren County kind of racing ahead, but it can't catch this storm that's moving into Independence County now. So that's why that northwestern part of Independence County is still under tornado warning. We aren't sure that there's a tornado on the ground with that, but it's still a rotation center, and that's why we continue. And it's a fairly small tornado warning because it's not moving very fast, 25 miles per hour. So they're warning out for another 45 minutes, but we think that that's about the time that it makes it to Batesville. It could be about a half hour. I don't know when that officially ends, 11:30. I'm going to guess, though, you've got a while, though, in Batesville to watch this storm. And then we're going to watch to see if there is some other circulation center that really makes itself apparent. Because right now, if you look at the velocities on this storm, not super apparent that there's a great rotation center. There's very broad rotation along Highway 14, a little bit of return back behind it toward the radar site. But the physical nature of that, just the shape of the storm, I think gives us some pause, and there is some, even, it could be a remnant kind of inflow notch there. But whether or not it's producing a tornado, you're in a tornado warning there along Highway 14, which roughly parallels that western border of Independence County over into Stone County. But it'll be moving very quickly solely into Independence County as it moves then off toward the Batesville area. And we're going to be tracking it as it moves toward you. Just figure out that spot in your house if you've never done it, a closet or an interior bathroom or something with just a lot of walls in a very small spot that's not against the edge of your house. Exterior walls and windows, not a great place to be. But if you can get into that interior part of your house, that's the best spot. And so be thinking about that, especially in Batesville and just points to the west, like over along Highway 106. Just be thinking about where that is and along Highway 14 as well, and be ready to go in just a moment's notice. If you're in that tornado polygon, western Independence County, just as on the very western part of it, you should be in your safe spot right now. I don't see much in the way of debris. Yeah, I think there could be some stuff still falling out. Excuse me?
I think it's carrying a little bit still of that old debris that was still right in here.
Yeah, I mean, the storm is still large, so it's going to be, it has updrafts in it, so it's going to be carrying stuff for a while.
Yeah, right in here, I think that's still some debris that's still lofted up in the air, but it's not reproducing it. I did notice Storm Prediction Center, they don't do this often. They just drew an outlook just for this storm and said it's for the next hour to 2 hours. They still think it's capable of reorganizing and producing more strong tornadoes. So that would take it Independence, Jackson County over the next 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I still think this is going to be the main storm we're talking about, even if maybe briefly as we get closer to 11:30 they drop this tornado warning. But anywhere from Batesville eastward into Jackson County, you're not under a warning. You're not even close to being under a warning since it's moving so slow. But Jackson County, I would stay up and watch this storm. I would not head to bed just because this is well to your west. Because in about 2 hours, it's going to be moving out of Independence County. And still, again, there's a lot of just clear air down here. As long as this rain doesn't cool the air off enough, this inflow right through here is just going to be able to reorganize again and again until something makes it stop, whether it moves into a more stable environment or maybe something goes on to where some of those tornado ingredients just aren't as high anymore. But I think this storm is the one to watch for the next at least 2 hours.
All right, we continue to watch the storm with the broad area of rotation out in the western part of Independence County. And I'm going to show you, as we look at all this, just what we're looking at. There's the tail end of this is really unimpressive back in the far northwestern part of Conway County. This even straight north of the Little Rock area, Van Buren County, and up into Stone County now. That's going over, and some of that is going over an area that's already had this storm go through. But it looks unimpressive, and that's great news. We don't want it to look impressive, but this one has just had that track. That's a lot of the storms moving east-northeast. This one was moving east or east-southeast, and so that was the tornado producer. Again, there's a tornado warning in effect, though. We just want you to be very aware of where this storm is, and if you're in Batesville or points west, to be ready to go to that safe spot in your home just at a moment's notice. And we're going to continue to follow it as the National Weather Service is too, because I think what it did, it kind of ramped up pretty quickly within a few scans, and it could ramp up again, given the environment. Even after nighttime, you're not losing a lot of heating because there's still a lot of warm air and humid air being driven up. And that was kind of that area of the state. As you head from Mountain View over to Batesville and then over into Jackson County and then up toward Jonesboro, that had probably the best tornado parameters. Winds coming from different directions at different height. We call it shear in the atmosphere. And these storms, you get tall enough and you get unimpeded airflow into it. And that's what tornado producing storms love. That's when you can get a tornado. And I think I don't think it did. It did produce a tornado. And the light of day tomorrow will kind of shed light on where that was. Hopefully there were no homes, no dwelling places at all affected by this. But there were some power outages, and we continue to watch this storm because it looks like the most impressive. Still a little debris probably falling out of this storm. That lets you know that that may have been a significant tornado that really lofted stuff way up into the atmosphere. And even after there's no tornado, likely, it takes a while for it to come down because a thunderstorm has updrafts in it, and so it can kind of keep debris lofted for a little while before it all falls out. Velocity-wise, not a super impressive velocity signature along this, down along Highway 14. The thing isn't moving very quickly at all right now, but we're going to watch, just because of the shape of the storm, a little bit of an inflow right there out to the west of Batesville, and it's moving certainly toward that way. And we just hope that this thing has produced its last tornado and will not produce again, but we can't say that definitively, and so we're going to have to stay on with you tonight. But it's something we hate to do, but we love to do, because if we can show you where the rotation is and where to take cover, it just saves so many people. We hear it over and over again. Thank you for showing us exactly where the rotation was. So we're going to stick along with this and the storm that's back to the west of it. I still don't see anything impressive along it, but there's a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder around Shirley and Fairfield Bay. This is an unwarned storm. It's moved east of Highway 65, and it will continue to move off over into Cleburne County eventually. But just a lot of great rainfall. You know, that's the upside of this severe weather. We've had several rounds in many spots in the state of heavy rainfall. Sometimes when you're in a drought, you got to have big storms to get that good rainfall, and I think it's certainly happening for tonight. Still a tornado warning, and that is moving into the Batesville area. And so we're going to keep a close watch on this storm. Any difference in its velocities, the winds inside the storm, Zach, that you've seen?
Yeah, I think it's starting to get stronger again. I don't think it's to where it was when it was producing a tornado earlier, but from Bethesda down to Melrose, this is Highway 14, and then it gets together with Highway 25 on the southwest side of Batesville. This is going to start to move into Batesville, and I don't like that it's looking like this before it gets to Batesville itself. Any more strengthening of this would be very concerning for the Batesville area itself as this cell continues to move through. So anyone on Highway 14, especially from Harmontown up to Bethesda, Limedale, Earnhardt, Locust Grove, needs to be in your tornado safe spot.
There's a new scan right there.
Yeah, Batesville, get in your tornado safe spot. Just based on what it's done already tonight, the way this looks right now is that it's cycling just in enough time for it to start to get strong again by the time it gets to Batesville. Anybody from north of Batesville to south of Batesville on Highway 167, you need to be in your tornado safe spot. Hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully this falls apart, but this is looking like it did earlier in Stone County before it got really strong. So if you're in Batesville, you're listening to this, get into somewhere where you can be safe from this. And did they just readjust that warning? Looks like they did a little bit.
Yeah,
they shortened it.
Oh, they took the back part of it off.
Okay.
But in just a second, I think, yeah, the National Weather Service is now saying this storm is cycling back up.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead, and hopefully this is just a brief thing and it doesn't really matter. But as Zach said, let's go ahead and get into the safe spot there along Highway 106. That's Bethesda, the Quarry, Limedale.
That probably means a new tornado warning's coming.
Yeah, it will. It'll be extended in Batesville, although you're not technically in it. I'm very confident you'll be placed into the tornado warning. But we've already been warning you, so it's just kind of a matter of what is the storm doing right now. But you will be extended into the tornado warning in all likelihood. And so it's time to go ahead and get into that safe spot. You've got some time. No debris. The direction of movement and the speed of movement is still fairly slow. And so you do have time to get into that safe spot. But if you're out on Highway 106 out to the west of town, you need to be in that safe spot right now. Let's get through this by being smart, getting into the interior part of your house, lowest level that you can get. And you know what? In most cases, it will not hit your house. But in some spot, there could be a tornado that does hit someone's house. And so we want to take that precaution, and it'll be quickly on by you. You're not going to be inconvenienced. But I think the next scan there, yeah, it just looks like it's trying to gather momentum. I don't know if it's a tornado or not, but let's assume that it is and get into that safe spot.
They're debating on how they want to issue this next tornado warning. I don't know if they're going to go just a regular tornado or something higher end, but here's some arrival times. Batesville, you may have 18 minutes to be prepared for this to move in. It's moving slow enough where it's not just going to be right on top of you in a few seconds, but your time for preparation is about to run out. You need to be somewhere where you can hear us, or whoever you're watching for tornado coverage, to be ready to be in that safe place. So turn the volume up as loud as you can, jump in the closet, grab the kids, the pets, shoes on, helmets on, and be ready for some rotation to move into the Batesville area. Hopefully it weakens before it gets there, but just based on what we saw in Stone County, these things are going to be able to ramp up very, very quickly with these.
Zach, zoom up to the north. Just go to the northwest of Batesville right there.
Right there near Cushman?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's kind of two areas.
There are kind of two areas. One of them will probably become predominant, but that one is certainly stronger than it was.
Yeah, it still looks kind of broad.
It does, but I just see two
this area right
there.
here and then this area right here. That's kind of two different areas. That this would be south of Cushman, Highway 69 that goes down north of Batesville. Here's 106 that goes a long way to Cushman. So this is going to be between Highway 14 and Highway 106, and then a second little area south of Cushman as well. Very interesting that there's now two areas. Yeah, well, I think one will win out, but it's going to be very hard to tell. That's why we said earlier, north of Batesville, south of Batesville, be in your tornado safe spot. because there's that new tornado warning
And,
just
and
issued.
they've drawn it to include both of those areas.
Yeah.
It's a broad tornado warning.
Now, hopefully this will just gust out. Sometimes if the winds are all moving in one direction, you get these little quick spin ups and then it just chills out a little bit. Hopefully that's the case. We don't really want this storm to just be able to get one of these circulations to be in an environment like it was in Stone County. Batesville, be ready in your tornado safe spot. Since we're watching two different areas, you should already be in your safe spot. Gainesboro, Sulphur Rock also need to be in your tornado safe spot. And everybody else east of that, Newark, going to be close to you all the way over into Jackson County. Be starting to get to the preparations. You may not have to be in your tornado safe spot since the storm's moving at only 25 miles per hour, but you need to be close to it. Everybody needs to be up, awake, and you need to be ready to jump into your safe spot because this area back from Cushman down to Highway 14, that's going to be moving through Batesville, and then it'll be in your area within the next 30 minutes, if maybe a little bit longer since at its current pace. But just looking at that area of rotation, still there, maybe a little bit weaker. This area trying a little bit harder. Let's look at reflectivity. So in reflectivity, those areas of rotation were right here and then right here. The inflow is a little bit more wide open. It's not very tight yet. It's still pretty broad, but this is going to be your rotation area, and your inflow is going to be right here. There's not much inflow up here. So this one may be the short-lived circulation. This one might be the stronger circulation, and that's going to be quickly moving into the Batesville area. Go a little bit closer to some of these roads. You've got Mount Springs Road, you've got Lock 2 Road, Earnhardt there, right on the edge of some of that circulation. You go a little bit east. Let's talk about Batesville in itself. Here's downtown. If you're not familiar with Batesville, there's a big, the river goes right through here, I believe, and then down here's that big turn where you kind of have to go up the hill, and it's almost 2 U-turns. But here's downtown Batesville, and here's kind of where a lot of the businesses, I think Lyon College is down here as well. This is going to be the area that's going to be, it's going to be around the river. I don't know if it's going to be north enough to really get into much of Batesville, but it's too close to call right now. You can see where that rotation is just lurking off to the west. So if you're west of Batesville, be in your tornado safe spot right now. If you're in Batesville, you also need to be in your tornado safe spot. And that's north all the way down to south, just because we're still far enough out where it's really hard to tell where exactly that rotation is going to be tight. Right in there, right here, and then got some bright colors back here as well. It's not looking too organized, not what we saw in Stone County, but it's looking organized enough to where you do not want to be trying to look for this one. It's dark. You have to rely on lightning. I try to chase storms when I can. I don't chase at night because you're relying on lights, you're relying on lightning strikes, just brief seconds to be able to see anything. So if you're from Cushman down Highway 69 or you're back to the west end 106 to Highway 14 area, don't try to get eyes on this thing. I don't think you're going to be able to see it very well. There's also a lot of hills west of Batesville that can really block what's heading your direction. So Batesville area, your time, we already told you to get in your tornado safe spot. Your time is running short to prepare and be in that spot with the kids, with the dogs, with the cats. Just be ready for hopefully just some loud thunder and lightning, some very heavy rain, but there's still potential for quick spin-up tornadoes. It does not look the same type of rotation we were watching in Stone County, where we got that debris detection. We got a lot of confirmation this was a strong tornado in process, but anywhere right through here, you're going to be able to get some quick spin-up tornadoes to maybe where we can't see as well as what we saw earlier. And it's looking a little messier. It's kind of a good thing. That inflow hopefully getting choked off a little bit by some of that rain-cooled air as this moves into the Batesville area. So but right here is going to be your best chance of a tornado where the colors aren't as bright. That's where that warm, humid air south of this storm is going to try to move in. And is going to be trying to really take over and really tighten up that rotation at the worst possible time. It's not good when we get a tornado at all, but it's not good when we get a tornado at the doorstep of a major community. And again, there's houses all around this area, so it's not just Batesville itself. It's this entire area that there's more targets, more likely that something's going to get hit if something spins up. So the Batesville area, the next 5 minutes are going to be very important. You need to be away from windows, closet, bathroom, hallway, helmets on, shoes on, everybody together, and turn the coverage up as loud as you can on your TV. just so you can hear when it's safe to come out. We don't want you coming out of your safe spot too soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's some of the roads that are being affected, and Zach did a great job showing the inflow there. There's Harkey Road, Highway 106 that comes into the west side of town there. And there's Batesville, the downtown area, beautiful downtown area coming up from the river, East College Avenue, so up on the kind of the north side of the grid of streets there, Lyon College. And this will be then moving across Highway 67, or Highway 167 rather, as this moves into the city. This is, we aren't absolutely sure this is producing a tornado, but there is some rotation. And you know, I'm going to turn it back on because I just saw something. Yeah, I don't know if it's more rotation or if it's some wind coming in, but look just out to the southwest of town, kind of along that highway, between Highway 160 there.
That's going to be it.
I think that's it. If it's, and it's just bright, and it may just be wind, but it's plenty of wind, I will tell you, even if it's not a tornado, and that's why you get away from the exterior walls and windows. So let's be safe in Batesville and just out to the west, Highway 106 and 14, right in that corridor there, a small community of Earnhardt. You got Denison Heights on the south side of the river there as you go down into the Batesville area near the airport there, and then on down into Batesville. All that area, whether or not it's a tornado, we're going to go to our safe spot here, because debris with a quick spin-up tornado, it can do a whole lot of damage. And so let's just prepare, and then that way, even if it doesn't happen, and you know, the odds of it hitting your house, not that great, but it could. And that's why we take the precaution. So let's go ahead and do that as this moves in. But there's plenty of wind there, and I think it's certainly this storm that we're talking about on the to the southwest of Batesville, moving almost due east right now at a slow clip. You've had time, but it's moving into the city even as we speak right now. And so that's the notch that we're looking at right there. And so it would be down here in between the two highways, 106 and 114, and 14, as it moves over toward Batesville in that Highway 167 corridor. Got another view of it on our other computer, and let's go over to that if we can. I want to thank our production crew for sticking along with us tonight, and y'all as well. For most of the state, the risk is really over, but it's this area, and there is inflow and there's flow away from the radar site, so wind toward and away from the radar site in one spot. It's rather broad, but it's pretty strong on the front side of it, and that's why I would say let's get into the safe spot in your house because of that. Now this has turned purple again. Zach, is that something that they have just done?
They did not say anything about that, but
okay.
Yeah, that's...
Maybe that's just left over from the previous one, and this computer hasn't cleared it out.
It clears in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
okay. I'll ask about that.
No, that's okay. I think it's in this computer, but I'm going to look and see what the National Weather Service, for you folks that are in the Batesville area, they usually give us some updates on this. They're continuing they'll continue that tornado warning then, and they've already extended it on out so that it officially does include Batesville now, over around Sulphur Rock and points on off to the east. But there is some wind right there. We just wait for that next scan. It takes a bit to scan it and then to process it. It's pretty quick though, and it comes right in. So Batesville, this circulation center is pretty close to you even now. Your time's up. It's time to get into the safe spot in your house.
It looks like this is going to be right over Highway 14 and really right over the White River. So Cushman Junction, this looks like this is going to be heading your direction. There's Ruddle Hill Baptist Church. Then it starts to get into kind of western Batesville, a lot of the more normal neighborhoods. When you get out in the county, out in the country, and then you start to get into more kind of neighborhoods, that's where this is going to be heading. Marshall Dry Goods. Really right along the river. I think this is going to ride as this rotation. Again, looking stronger. It does not look as strong as it did earlier, but I still think this is...
Zach, look at debris on there. I don't, right near that area.
That looks to be a little bit ahead. That may be inflow right
Yeah,
here.
it could be, but I'm just,
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't see
that's-
it before.
So there it is. Yeah, that's right at the tip of the inflow.
Yeah.
So it may just be, some of that warm, humid air getting ingested
Yeah,
into the rotation.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
But it's close. That's there's a new scan right there. Still seeing more winds away from the radar rather than as tight as it was earlier.
There's not much into it. So it gives me reason to believe that that could just be really strong winds.
Yeah.
And you know what? That does a lot of damage too.
And a ton of lightning with this storm too.
Yeah, and we've had some recent rain. It could blow trees over, lots of lightning, exactly. So power outages there, we'll continue to monitor for power outages. There are about 490 over in Stone County out of 9,000 customers. So it was a small percentage, but we did see debris. So there was a tornado that touched down, not in Mountain View, but south of Mountain View near Hanover. And now this storm, same general area of rotation is now right on top of Batesville, and there's a tornado warning there as well. It'll be crossing over Highway 167 as it moves on through. I'm going to back out.
It is still radar confirmed. I just checked, and both polygons. So briefly, one turned a different color. Usually that means it's a higher level threat of a tornado warning.
Yeah.
Both of these are still radar confirmed. So we don't have the same type of situation as earlier when we had a confirmed tornado. But again, this is coming right into the worst possible spot for this to be starting to organize a little bit more. So even if it's not Batesville, areas east of Batesville, there's two ways to Jackson County. There's one on the north side of the river, one on the south side of the river. Both of those corridors, Highway 14, as you head towards Newark, and then Highway 25, and I believe it is 69 there. Both sides of the river, this rotation, probably more on the north side, but still close enough to Highway 14 that you're really going to have to watch where this heads next through. And man, look at that inflow right over Batesville.
Yeah,
so you're
right there.
all right through here. There's some strong winds, and there's some strong winds trying to wrap around here. So this is going to be your tornado right over, or your area of rotation where a tornado would form. And it's close. Next scan will have it right over Highway 167. Here's that little kind of double U-turns you have to make to get up the hill. And then you would be going uphill this way, and it'd be downhill towards the river as you head north. So this is going to be probably the next scan right over Highway 167. And again, we'll check debris. So our rotation's right here. Not seeing any colors that would be debris or still in the inflow up here. So not concerned about any debris showing up, but still that rotation, and we're probably a little bit, Stone County's, the radar beam hits pretty high. It probably hits a little bit higher in Batesville, depending on, it looks like we're still using the Little Rock.
300 feet.
So yeah. We would have to get another strong tornado for debris to show up, I think. But still seeing more bright colors on the inflow than we are on this, on the winds coming out of the storm. The rain, cold air, and this is where your tornado would really start to spin up. Still looks very one-sided, but again, it's not in a good spot. Dacia, right through there, Highway 14 area, northward towards the river. I believe the river runs right through here. This is where that rotation is going to be headed next. So Denison Heights, the airport is, there it is, Batesville Regional. So that's going to be near or north of the airport towards the river. So we may see, I don't know, I don't want to give, I still think Batesville right through here. You're still going to have some strong winds, but the area, the tighter rotation may be south of downtown to the Highway 167 bridge that goes over the White River and the Denison Heights. That's where maybe that rotation has sunk enough south, but Bates will stay in your tornado safe spot just a few more minutes. Let this pass, then you're going to hear more storm activity, lightning, thunder, but behind it right now is not looking quite as intense as the storm that's currently moving through. Just more rain and even a little bit of hail. We haven't talked much about hail tonight.
There's hail with this one just up north of
Pfeiffer,
of downtown.
There's 167. So pretty much 167 as you turn northeast all the way up past through Pfeiffer, that area, probably some pea to quarter-sized hail It does not look as high as some of the storms produced the other night in southwestern Arkansas, but there's still going to be hail right through here. Your tornado threat is going to be right down here. It looks a little bit better. I'm not, just based on reflectivity, maybe it looks a little bit better than it did earlier. Yeah, still broad.
I think there could be real wind, near the airport there on the south side. I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of wind. I don't see a lot of wind going toward the radar site, but I see a lot of wind. But let's just zoom in to the area where that notch is, which is Batesville and Eagle Mountain Boulevard, Riverbank Road. So that's just on the north side of the river there. Mountain Ridge Road off to the east, and then on up to Miller Creek. So the whole area there is, and it's going to just continue to move straight along Highway 69 as it moves through, because this is an east-moving storm. And you're in a tornado warning. I would say, I don't know that there's a tornado, but let's get into that safe spot in your house just in case, because this storm has had a history of producing a tornado. We know that, and hopefully it still isn't, and hopefully it runs into an environment that is not as conducive to tornado development or rotation of any sort, but it's not quite there yet. And even the notch is not quite as pronounced as it was. But you're in that area from Gainesboro, Sulphur Rock, out to the east of town. You'll be next, even though it's in the Batesville area right now. And so we're going to continue to look for clues given to us by the radar. I will tell you that I don't see a ton. I see some wind kind of out on the southeast side. If we can go to our other source, I may be able to show it to you just a little bit better. But this is wind at about 6,300 feet. If we can go to our other storm scan, and there it is right there. At 6,300 feet, there's plenty of wind moving out away from the radar site at Little Rock. Some of that may be translating down to the ground. I don't see a lot of wind coming back toward, but given the history, again, let's get in a safe spot. And we're going to continue to watch for power outages with this storm, because I think it's possible that even if it's not a tornado, I think you could have some power outages, lots of lightning as well, too.
Watching my old station, KIT in Northeast Arkansas, they've got a camera at Mark Martin Ford and Kia, which is down here. Ton of lightning, but between those lightning flashes, I did not see too many low clouds. Clouds kind of looked still high enough to where it didn't seem super concerning. Obviously, there's some distance in between the dealership and where some of this rotation is, but that camera kind of made me, I believe what we're seeing there on velocity, that maybe this rotation, still broad, still a threat, but maybe not strengthening to what it was earlier when we saw it ramp up there in Stone County. And this warning is going to continue into Jackson County as well. And again, ton of lightning with this. You're going to hear this storm, and it's going to be loud. The storm behind it probably has a lot of lightning with it too, but Independence County, especially Stone County, nothing severe so far behind this storm, just general thunderstorms, heavy rain, lightning, some wind, but not severe wind gusts. It's really this cell right here as it moves into Jackson County that we'll be watching for a little bit longer. It is starting to line up. I like that. It's starting to line up. There's not as many notches there. There's still some inflow space right in here for that to spin back up, but the straighter this line gets, the more the rain-cooled air will be moving out from the storm in one direction. It's not going to be able to spin up as well if it starts to line up. But the more this cell just stays out on the open, though, it's going to be capable of still throwing out some tornadoes as it moves out of Independence County into Jackson County. And just continue to see just enough broad rotation there to be concerned about what we're watching moving into now eastern Independence County. And still, we move out, zoom out to the rest of the state. We're not ignoring other areas. It's quiet. As we look, if we go to Max 1, I'll show you what the rest of the state looks like as we continue to see just, this is all ground clutter. This isn't rain. It's going to be very hard for anything past this point to develop. A lot of the high-res data over the past couple of hours have now kept the severe threat in Northeast Arkansas, and still some thunderstorm activity that we'll have to watch dropping towards I-40. The White County area, you're going to hear some rumbles of thunder, maybe even get a little bit of rain. Little Rock, we talked about it earlier today. You might not get any rain from this line as it's just struggled. We didn't get any storms during the day. That kind of lowered our rain chances. And then tonight, everything's just been able to get going to the north. I still think our better rain chances, you can see the boundary right through here. So still the chance something can get going through here, but I think it would have already at this point if it was going to. Still think our better rain chances with tomorrow's round of storms where most, if not all of the state's going to have a chance at thunderstorms and rain, maybe some severe weather mixed in as well. But for the rest of tonight, it's really that one cell there near Batesville that continues to show signs of at least broad rotation. And even there, new scan, this inflow is starting to get parallel to the storm. So that's usually not what creates tornadoes. You need some type of angle, and then you need some spin right around here. If the inflow is just coming straight into here, I don't know if that's going to spin up as well as what it did earlier, which is great news. But still clearly some rotation there, both near Gainsboro, Highway 25, as that goes northeastward towards Lawrence County. Here's 233, 232. And 69 there as it heads from Sulphur Rock down. So Batesville, I think we can say you're good. I think the threat has passed you. But if you're in Rutherford, Sulphur Rock especially, Newark, really need to keep an eye on things as this continues to move off to the east and still try to spin up there as it moves closer to and into Jackson County.
Yeah, it really just continues to try, but like you said, it's kind of laying over on its side. And it's kind of just an area of storms. Let me just show you what our modeling is looking at. This is high resolution data, and it updates every hour. And it shows that kind of that broken line up there. And then, oops, I'm going to get into the right computer here. And we're going to show you that this takes the tail end down toward the Little Rock area. I'm not completely convinced that we'll have anything here. It then has the stronger storms off to the east, but kind of just laying over on its side. So we'll watch. That's 1:30 in the morning, and it begins to rain itself out, I think, over in east central Arkansas. I don't think there's going to be a great threat in that part of the state. Of course, we'll be here until there is no more threat. But I really think the threat will start to diminish as we look at these storms right now. In Batesville, unless some other new area of rotation comes through. And if we can go back to the other, well, I can just go to it on this computer. I'll just show you that it's a large area of rain right here. Just a big, it's not so much out by itself, although the leading edge is in a warm, moist environment, but I think it's going to start to get affected by the other pockets along that line. And that doesn't lend itself to a big or strong tornado or even much of a tornado threat. But we'll continue to watch it because it's still tornado warned, Gainsboro and Sulphur Rock, and see if any of these other notches exhibit any rotation at all. There's certainly some wind with it. I'm going to go up to our, yeah, there's still Gainsboro. There's still, it's trying maybe, there's a wind rushing away from the radar site there, but there's not much toward the radar site. I think it's a wind producer for sure. We'll go back to look at it, and boy, still trying to rotate there, still trying to pull air in along Highway 25, but that's kind of more north, and that's kind of up into the storm a little bit. And as Zach said, it kind of lays over on its side, so it's not getting just pure warm, moist air. It's getting a little bit of rain-cooled air, I think, being pulled into it as well. So those are the things that we kind of look for. But as I say that, there's still some rotation center around Gainsboro.
Yeah, it's not wanting to quit.
It just doesn't want to.
Couple things. Tornado watch has been canceled for Baxter, Fulton, Johnson, Marion, Newton, Searcy County. I'm sure more counties will be dropped out over the next hour or two if nothing else develops. Also, that tornado warning, they're going to continue it for now, but it looks like they think that things are stabilizing a little bit. But I mean, with that new scan, maybe not. Unless it starts to strengthen again right in this area, they were going to replace it with a severe thunderstorm warning instead of a tornado warning. And this new warning goes to That'd be midnight or later. I've lost track.
Here, I'll tell you real quick. It is until, okay, midnight, yep.
Yep. So another 30 or another 20
Unless
minutes.
canceled early
Right.
and replaced with the severe thunderstorm warning. We continue to just look for rotation, and there is some.
It's still broad enough to where I don't know if you can cancel that because the next scan may look more impressive, or it could fall apart again, and then the next scan it looks better again. Now we're starting to get into more what we call brief tornadoes, QLCS tornadoes. It's when these lines start to line up. They can still spin. So even though this would be rain wrapped, you're not going to see any of this in this red and dark kind of maroon color. That's completely rain wrapped, but hopefully the next scan, as it continues to get more and more rain cooled, that will fall apart. But then you may get another little area to develop down to the south to southwest, down near McHugh or the Highway 14 area. So the White River is right through here. So the threat's going to stay kind of along and north of the White River a little bit longer. But the more that rotation gets into here, maybe the better chance of this just becoming a wind threat, which is still dangerous. You still want to stay away from windows, but still think there'll be some broad rotation that will quickly have to be watched. And I mean, if we watch the scan here,
Yeah, let's just watch right along Highway 25, I believe that
the
is.
old rotation died out here, and then
Then the new one, but it formed farther north.
yeah, I think it's some of that RFD, the rain cold air coming out, and it's
Yeah.
moving faster than the storm. So then you just get a little bit of spin up here. These usually probably don't last as long, but I want to say that confidently because
It may or may not be a tornado, or it may be a brief one, but the National Weather Service says the front, or the effective front, really, I don't think it's the actual front, is starting to catch these storms. And that means they're going to become what we call elevated, so they can't really take root at the surface. And so there is hail along with that, sign of an elevated storm. Makes it harder unless some part of that storm breaks off, turns off to the right, or you get a quick spin up. The Weather Service says that they think the tornado threat, or the majority of the tornado threat, maybe not all of it, is really diminishing very quickly as it moves into this sort of environment. And I kind of mentioned it earlier. It's where the storms are kind of all in one area, and they don't have just their own environment to kind of tap into. The tornado watch still in effect for the northern half of the state. They're eating away some of the counties there on the back side. I just think by the time these storms, even if they do develop down into the Little Rock area, I don't think our tornado threat is going to be great at all. I don't think it's, but we're going to have to watch it for a while longer. So stick with us here. And we will be on the air until there is no tornado warning. We don't think there's a tornado threat with that actual storm. And then we'll be here monitoring as we watch these storms develop elsewhere. But I just wanted to give you an idea of the severe weather. Here's the kind of an overview. It's just in that part of the state. The farthest extent southward is just to the north of Damascus, headed over toward, and those are just some run-of-the-mill showers, a couple of maybe rumbles of thunder. And then the storm that's up into the northern part of Arkansas. And there's the south extent of all of that. Some storms still in the northern part of Cleburne County. There's the one right there in the Batesville area and points to the east. And that's the one that we're watching. It is still a tornado warned storm. And so we're going to keep a close watch on it. And there's wind for sure. Not much coming back into it. But if you're along Highway 25, you're on a tornado warning, let's go ahead and get into that safe spot for a while longer until the Weather Service and we think, given the radar analysis, that you're not in danger anymore. Still going to be a strong storm. Looks like they have issued a large severe thunderstorm warning now, and I'll back out and show that to you. So they're just looking at this whole line. Zach, do you think there could be some outflow?
that's
out?
some of that rain cold air catching up, I think.
Yeah. So they're saying that this is going to maybe rush out. So places like Newark and Newport and Pleasant Plains, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning right now, and it does look like they have canceled the tornado warning, I do believe.
Yes, and I'm trying to see.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that severe thunderstorm warning has a tornado possible tag on it.
No, they're just saying if there's an uptick in rotation anywhere along that line, and let me go, I'll go back and show you just the reflectivity part of this. But yeah, it's just a large area. If there's any pronounced area of rotation anywhere from east of Batesville to Newark, anywhere in there, we will be watching it. Let's look at power outages if we can. I'm going to do this real quickly here. Power outages in Arkansas and Independence County has had, again, just like Stone County, about 5% of the county is out of power right now. That could be from lightning, it could be from wind, it could be from a brief tornado earlier, but about 978 customers without power in Independence County right now, out of almost 21,000 customers in the county.
Would most of that area be Entergy?
That would be, and I'm going to see, it is all Entergy, except for a little bit of First Electric Co-op, Craighead Electric Co-op as well. All the outages are in the Entergy system, though.
Yeah, a lot of the widespread outages are back in Stone County where we had that debris signature. But you can follow that area of rotation all the way into Independence County. You know, there's damage, or not damage, excuse me, there's power outages down near the airport. There's a ton of power outages in Batesville itself. Most of those Independence power outages are downtown Batesville.
Yeah.
Where some of that broad rotation or at least some strong winds move through.
I think that was a wind producer that went through there. Yeah, and a ton of lightning as well. All right, well, folks, we are going to we're going to kind of regroup on this. This storm is not the tornado threat that it once was, and so that's why it is a severe thunderstorm warning. We are not abandoning the coverage of this storm from Newark just all the way to the south. Again, the wind starts to blow outside. Get into that interior part of your house because I think the winds could still be very strong. And if there is rotation, and there very well could be in a couple of spots, we are going to be back on here. But for now, we're going to send it back to regular programming and know that we're just keeping an eye on it. But you're in this large, severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to put our little map of the state of Arkansas back up into the corner of the screen. And we'll keep you updated in that way. But just know if we start to see more power outages or if there's rotation, we will be back. But for now, we're going to send it back to programming, and we'll be here to watch these storms as they progress through northeast Arkansas through the evening.